Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It's Wednesday. Let's take a look at some alts. I've had a lot of requests to look at the Treasury companies, so I'll do that today in this video, along with alts at the end to get a lay of the land of what's out there. There's BitcoinTreasuries.net. On the BTC side, there is, what is it, Strategic ETH Reserve.xyz. It has the ETH companies, but you definitely need to know how many companies are there, who's the leader, who's buying, who's selling, what's going on, what's the MNAV. I would not just buy this stuff blindly. You got to be careful. Clearly MicroStrategy is the leader. Clearly Mara has a bunch of coins. Then there's kind of everybody else on the BTC side. For ETH, it's SBET, it's BMNR, and one that's not yet public would be Ether Machine. Can the market support more than 3 companies in any one strategy? We'll see. But I'd be very careful going down the stack with any assumptions looking at KULR or Semler even. As we'll see on the charts, they just don't trade well. They just don't. I mean, that could change down the road, but I'd be very careful. And I would definitely pay attention to the MNAV. This is another website. I'll put all the links for this in the description of this video, but you do have to kind of know what's the MNAV doing for SBET. What does it look like relative to ETH? For MSTR, what does it look like relative to BTC? That sort of thing. So we'll get to those charts. But BTC, I think we're at 118.2 or something right now. Still not breaking out. Not really looking great. Although it looks like it wants to break out, we still are dealing with a large seller coming to market. We've got the seasonality component that is against us here in August and September. Generally, post-halving tends to be better. So we'll see what wins the day here. Tried to break out yesterday, didn't. Still have that trailing stop loss at 116.5 or something like that. Hasn't really done much, and it's allowed alts to take off while BTC consolidates. Target's still there. Still like the target. I like the target even if we go to 116. So long as we can hold above the cloud and this pattern is intact, which would be nothing below the handle, in this case 102 in the cloud. The cloud is great at all things, let's be honest. Let's all bow down to the cloud. But if we're below 102 and in the cloud there, then I would be very, very careful at any targets and assumptions. And there's a world where we could have a terrible August, September, we could go below the cloud again and then break out in October. I mean, that's also possible. So I still like 150 sometime this year. MSTR, first Treasury company, has traded awful since last week. It apparently got angry on news that it wasn't included in the S&P. Fine. And it's just been straight down days. Since then, it has lost premium. It's sort of losing structure a little bit. It is hanging on by a thread up here at the neckline of the chart pattern. So, I don't hate ads here. You just have to be very careful. The next trailing stop loss, if you want to use it, would be 380. It's just not a good look to be here, to actually look great after months of consolidating and then just do nothing. So maybe this is a Q4 timeframe. Collectively, I think if you're buying anything here for any reason in crypto, you have to have an end of year timeframe. I wouldn't expect a miracle in the next week or the next 2 months. And anything you're buying here, I would be happy with holding until the end of the year. That includes MSTR. Use an intelligent trailing stop loss and call it a day, because the tape isn't doing too hot right here. This is MetaPlanet. This one hasn't looked good for a long time. Adam and Eve on that. It reached the target. Again, like, what more do people want? You had a pattern, you had a breakout. It moved, I don't know, 3x, right? What more do you want? It had a 6x NAV. Now they're talking about changing the tax rules in Japan on crypto to make them less predatory, where you're getting 33% on your cap gains versus 50 or something. That's going to hurt the MNAV here. The technicals on this look awful. This is not something I would touch. I don't care. Until the technicals look good, I wouldn't touch it. Until the MNAV comes way down, I wouldn't touch it. Previously, this took months to consolidate. Semler has traded poorly for years. That hasn't changed post Bitcoin strategy. It just doesn't. It isn't something I want to touch. I want to trade. I want to think about. I don't want to open this every week and see this chart and own this. This is not something I like. So it's just not for me. You could say, well, maybe it's setting up for something on the daily. Sure. Eve Adam. I don't know. Just why, right? There's so many other things to do with your money right now. Why that? And then it doesn't get much better as we go down this list. But what I would do for anybody trading this stuff, I would set some alerts, make a watch list, but don't force anything here. This clearly on a 1 hour time frame is telling you, is this bullish? I don't care what they're doing. I don't care what they're promising they're doing. I don't care how much debt they're issuing. What is the chart telling you? Are people excited about this or not? Not yet. If this can get above the hourly, sure, love it. But it hasn't done that in over 2 months. So let's start there. If this market is truly bullish, this stuff will start to look bullish. H100, same deal. 30-minute. I'm on low time frames here, and this stuff does not look good. Most of these charts also have a massive head and shoulders before the breakdown. SBET is another one. It exploded, pulled all the way back, and climbed its way up again. I would watch this on a 30-minute. Watch this stuff on ultra low time frames. That's how it's moving, and the chart speaks for itself. It had a move, and it's pulled back. This was what? A 3x, 4x move from 8, 9? Again, how much more do you want right now? I know everybody's super bullish ETH, but you have to be cognizant of the underlying doesn't go up in a straight line. Trees don't grow to the sky. If ETH is slowing down and pulling back, these treasury companies holding ETH are going to do the same. It's not going to be a secret here. So I'd be very careful loading the boat on any of this stuff, options on any of this stuff. This is BMNR, another head and shoulders back here. Hasn't done anything. This is a 30-minute. If you're going to be bullish, if you're talking about buying the heat death of the universe of ETH, whatever it is, right? It just, you don't see it on the chart. Doesn't look bullish yet. That could change in a day. That could change in one 30-minute candle. I just don't see a reason to buy this stuff in the moment. This is a Litecoin strategy chart. Again, a little head and shoulders-y, held up better so far than most of these. But if this starts to break down, then it's hard to stay bullish on this. But if you're bullish on Litecoin, if you think Litecoin can 4x, then this is an option for you, right? If you think ETH is going to go to 10K, then maybe you like SBET. But in the near term, I would temper your expectations. Another BTC company, KULR. This is the daily. Again, where is the bullishness here? If the strategy is bullish, if Bitcoin accumulation on the balance sheet is bullish, why aren't we seeing that on the chart? You can look at this on the 4 hour, the hourly, whatever. This has not been bullish. Whatever they're doing, I don't know what it is, but it's not bullish. End of story. Now to some of the crypto companies. Coin has pulled back a little bit here from 450. Any of these charts, if we get to pull back to the Kijun, even on like ETHBTC, okay, that's low. That's 032 or whatever it is, okay? Love that level on any chart. I should never have to say that, but anytime we get a pullback that deep, love it. Love it as a bid zone in general. And that's a dynamic support resist level that's going to change over time. So if you're bullish on coin the rest of the year, I think you're a buyer continuously down to 325. I don't think you shy away from that. Again, most of this stuff is going straight up over the past couple weeks. Galaxy I still like here, breaking out. Plenty of room on the upside. Good performance today relative to the rest of the market. I think it looks fine. This is what you want to see. Absolutely. CoreWeave, sort of crypto adjacent, but I haven't talked about this one in a minute. And it had a low time frame head and shoulders that has continued to break down. The cloud gave you a heads up with the bearish TK cross pricing cloud. That is a get out of Dodge signal every time. And why am I watching this stuff on low time frames? Well, you can't watch it on the daily. It went straight up, right? So you have to pick something. I still think this has lower in it. I think it has a date with Destiny to 110. Circle, it's kind of traded like junk. Really, honestly, not really much going on here. Pretty volatile. If you're a range trader, you probably love this. Maybe this is a massive ascending triangle into Q4, but I don't see much of anything to do here. Just sort of up and down. Not really much to say. And then of all the miners, I still like Bitfarms the most just because it hasn't moved. I don't care about the quality of the company, the balance sheet, any of that stuff. On trend here, you're getting a bullish TK cross with price above cloud, with a bullish cloud. That is go time. So does it hit 2? Does it hit 10? Does it hit 50 cents? I have no idea. But I like this breakout. I like the chart. I like the chart pattern. So of all the miners, that's my pick. All right, for alts. Total 2, which is basically ETH and Sol, has broken out in a big way since July. The cloud told you that. Fractals told you that. And at this point, we've reached the fib measured move, the high, the low here, gives you this zone. And so in the near term, it's hard to expect much more without consolidation. And I think that's what we're seeing. We saw it on IWM, which I mentioned a couple days ago. I thought ETH would consolidate a little bit lower. It went a little bit higher and now is consolidating. So I don't think it's over for ETH. I think, again, into Q4, we're going to be probably cooking, assuming all things go the way they should. You're still seeing stablecoins being printed mainly on Tether. But collectively, again, all these charts, they have a lot to give back. They went straight up for 2 weeks. They have a lot to give back here. 50% of that move in on total 2 is 1.27 trillion, just as an example. You also don't have a trailing stop loss here on the Williams fractals at all. So you don't really have a great level on the daily. You'd have to go down to a lower time frame. And at this point, you've probably already tripped a fractal on a lower time frame. We'll take a look at that on ETH. Dominance still above the 3-day cloud. Now we gave a lot back on dominance, I'll give you that. But does this look bearish on the 3-day? That's the question. We've been here before. We've been here before. There's a world where we pull back for the next 2 months. BTC gains on dominance because alts pull back more. Come October, BTC moves first, dominance goes higher. And then later on, maybe November, December, alts regain some footing. And then we get alt season or whatever that ends up meaning or being, right? Potential roadmap to think about. But the 3-day hasn't crossed bearish yet. Now it will cross bearish on the TK cross there in the next couple of candles. But we've done that before. So if you're bullish alts, you do not want to see a bullish TK recross on the 3-day dominance chart. Absolutely not. And we can look at total 2 over BTC stripping out stables. Same deal. We hit the cloud there. You're going to get a bullish TK cross probably over the next couple of candles. Still not above the cloud. Looks good. You know, it's looking back here. Look at this, right? It looked plenty good, plenty of times back here, and just kept ranging, kept ranging. What did it take? Stimmies, money, ZERP. So maybe the next Fed chair brings rates to 0. We get stimmies, whatever, right? Maybe that's what it's going to take. But I'd be careful with assumptions here just because things have turned around rather quickly for alts, specifically ETH. Here's the stablecoin circulating supplies. You can see Circle minor uptick since the IPO in circulating supply, whereas Tether just straight roofing even since the Circle IPO at 162 billion. We've also had some movement in NFTs, CryptoPunks making a new multi-month high, not a new multi-year high just yet, but this is what you want to see if rising tide lifts all boats, right? If bullish BTC trickles into bullish alts, which goes down the risk spectrum into bullish NFTs. NFTs aren't for me in particular, but you're seeing what you want to see on a rebound there. Pudgies, same deal, new multi-month high there, and Bored Apes still not quite breaking out yet, but starting to look better than they have been in quite some time. And of course, the watch charts have also flatlined here. So what are we seeing? We're seeing alts take off. We're seeing meme stonks take off. We're seeing treasury companies. We're seeing companies like crypto go public every day, seemingly. We're definitely in the latter stages of the cycle, if the cycle still exists. The next step would be the parabolic phase, which is what I talked about the other day. But we do look rather bottomy on most metrics. And so here's ETH BTC on the daily. I figured we'd just do a bunch of alt charts live because they're all over the place. But ETH BTC had a target roughly slightly higher than it hit, right? A little bit higher. So what do you do here? Well, I took some ETH off the other day by quite a bit, removed all leverage on ETH that I had. For ETH BTC, I would want this back there, whatever that is on whatever day. So again, that's a decent down move. That's another 10% on ETH BTC. If you're bullish on ETH and you're a believer, you can't be afraid to step in there and shoot your shot. Right? We take the pitchfork. I'm just curious. And it's still very, very steep. But you don't have a trailing stop loss here on the daily, on the 12-hour, the 8-hour, 6-hour. You do. You got that over the past candle, and it's a little head and shouldersy here. So if this is going to break down, I would imagine it gets pretty close to the daily Kijun, which let's be exact here. Let's go to 3 decimals. Go back to the daily. 027, folks. That's the number. 027. With the white Jaguar in the parking lot. No. 027. Anyway, that's the level. On ETH, level is roughly 3,000. We'll just call it 3,000. Even in this same deal here, you're not getting trailing stop losses. There you did on the 8-hour. What I'm looking for is a candle lower than the green fractal here. So you're getting that right now. This again is a little mini head and shoulders. And that's okay. Like, it can break down. Look at this move, right? Like, it went up 60% in 20 days. Like, yeah, it can give a little back and still keep going. That's not a problem. But I would be very careful here with leverage. Very careful here with leverage. And if we look at ETHU, same deal. That is not a group of candlesticks that is particularly happy. Interestingly, it hit close to the edge-to-edge move on the crypto settings cloud. Hasn't hit the ledge of legacy settings cloud. I'd be careful charting this stuff. I would just chart ETH, and then if you want leverage, use leverage. This is because of the vol drag, it's kind of confusing. So that's ETH. If we look at Sol ETH, same deal, kind of all over the place, tried to bounce a little bit, giving some back. One other thing on ETH I would look at would be divergences on lower time frames. So the 12-hour, you did get a little div there, tiny, very tiny. But sometimes all it takes is something like that after a move, 60% higher. So yeah, you can give a little back. If you're not happy with 3,000 ETH today, then maybe, lighten your load a little bit on the ETH front. For Sol broke out a little bit and is quickly giving everything back. I think 166 is a decent level. Again, it's not a secret. It's just the daily Kijun. That's 50% of the breakout. I still think this has plenty of room to run, as do most of these charts. Ripple, 280, plenty of room to run, but you're running, lower time frame trailing stops across the board here. You have to make a decision. Do you hold for the rest of the year, or do you reduce, add later? Do you buy lower? That's up to you, but I wouldn't expect a miracle in the near term here. SWI also tripping, close to tripping a daily fractal there. Definitely double toppy on lower time frames. Kijun at 326. And if you're bullish on something like this for any chart, sure, right? Just pick a level where you don't want this to go lower. Maybe it's 278, maybe it's 260. And you tell yourself, well, I think it's going here by the end of the year, so I'm going to buy some price lower. Sure. But until momentum is back in the market broadly, I would just be very careful with any assumptions here. AVAX looks good, broke out. It has this W component that a lot of charts have, and you just have to believe in something. So, is it AVAX? Is it SWI? Is it Algo? Is it Ondo? It's up to you. But this is a start to where you want a chart to break out. Apt is another one. It was above the cloud for half a second and broke down. But again, it's in a position where you are pre-breakout relative to the group, relative to the market. LTC also looking good on a daily. I would just look at this on ultra high time frames. Are you trading LTC here because you want it to go to 150? No, you're not. You're trading LTC here because it hasn't moved in 4 years and you're hoping for a decent upside. So I would give that one time. Link broke out on the W, pulled back a bunch. I still think it looks fine. And again, it's up to the individual person. Do you want to add here? Do you want to reduce here? Do you want to step out of a bunch of stuff? Really depends on what you're doing. I wouldn't load the boat on meme coins, but I think holding a bunch of the other stuff for a couple months is fine. Ondo down. Another thing is if you missed a lot of these on the breakout, you should be happy with the pullback here. Maker kind of doing nothing, and we'll just zip through the rest of these. Algo flat, ADA still just not anything I'd want to touch. Dot briefly above, broke down. Say still above. Filecoin is another one similar to Aptos. It was above the cloud for half a second. Flow, same deal. ICP, same deal. Matic, exactly the same. So all those charts look exactly like Aptos. ARB started to break out and then pulled back. And some of these will never go anywhere for the rest of the cycle. Some of these will pull back halfway and then, 3, 4, 5x. So you're either pre-buying those on a breakout or you're just waiting for levels on the way up. Again, that's it. It's not a secret. GRT still above. TIA probably still below, which it is. I would not trade that one with any amount of money. STX above. Velo briefly above. INJ started to break out and pull back. Little cup and handily. Again, all these charts basically look the same. Basically same idea. Do you want to wait for the breakout? Do you want to buy slightly lower or here? It's up to you. I'm waiting personally near, slightly above, FET slightly above, Ocean above, IMX above. So, there's lots of options here. I'm still holding a bunch of ENA. I'm just going to hold it for another 3 months, 4 months, see what happens. Plenty of room potentially for higher. Curve, I would not touch in the near term, just because the question here is this a high and tight flag, or is it a King's Castle head and shoulders? Is it an Adam and Eve? Whatever. I'd be careful. It almost looks like 3 rising methods too. It could go either way. Bit of a coin flip. I like this on higher highs, but otherwise 75 cents is what I would like on that one. PIF, no. ETC, pulled back. BNB hit a new all-time high, but not for me. DIY, DX, flat there on the cloud. Rune below. So most of these charts look exactly the same. Uni's another one. Pulled back a little bit. So, you know, pick 5, pick 10, DCA the next 2 months and call it a day. I wouldn't hem and haw about too much in the moment here. If you're out of the market, this is what you want to see. You want to see just massive leverage wipeouts like today. Doge pulling back, not really much to say there. SHIB breaking out, pulling back. Pepe hasn't really moved yet. Bonk pulling back, has that curve type fractal to it with high and tight. Just not a spot you want it to be if you're bullish. WIF hasn't gone anywhere yet. I still like this one of all the memes. If you're bullish on an ETH SOL rotation in your bullish memes, you got to be bullish WIF because it hasn't moved yet. Still looks okay. You know, and it took ETH a long time to break out. Remember this? If we rewind the clock, ETH was just kind of stuck, right? Stuck for 60 days, 2 months. So hey, it could take another 2 months for the rest of the stuff to break higher. But I really don't see anything on the alt side that looks particularly good here, which is one of the reasons why if you can find something that's in the crypto ecosphere that looks heads and shoulders above, no pun intended, the rest of the market, you know, you gotta think about that one seriously and focus on it. And just gotta check in on Sweet Green here. What a breakout, what a chart. Love it. Should go higher. I didn't even talk about a measure move on this, but 18, 19, 20, sure. On the daily, not quite in the cloud yet. You almost have a bullish TK cross. So I think this has some time in it left. And again, if you can find some stuff that is not correlated to crypto in times like this, when crypto's pulling back, that's how you continuously win. If you're trading, you're not eating the drawdowns and you are outperforming and then gaining to rotate back into this other stuff. One last thing I'll say is gold. Gold looks phenomenal. If we go to, I guess we'll do XAU. This chart looks incredible on a flag, on an ascending triangle, on the daily, on the cloud, on the Williams fractals. Looks really, really good. So if this can break above 3,400, should be go time. It's been consolidating for 100 days. If gold breaks up for the next 2 months, crypto likely doesn't follow initially and does so in Q4. So if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly here, it would make sense for crypto to flounder a bit and gold to take the wheel. That's all I have for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.